What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a very needed modification, and all thanks to Justin over at Silver Rhino Media. I reached out to him and he was kind enough to send me one of his washer fluid relocation kits. If you guys are looking for a washer fluid relocation kit, I'm going to link all of his stuff down in the description. He also makes bay trays and things like that for us 4th gen guys. He makes a lot of good quality stuff. So today we're going to be installing his washer fluid relocation kit. The washer fluid tank that's on the truck right now is in the way. It doesn't look good. It's just a bunch of plastic that's showing at the bottom of the truck. When we put this new rear bumper on, as you can see, it started to show a lot. And so for cosmetic reasons, and also because when you have pretty big tires, you have a chance of actually hitting that relocation tank, especially if you're at 35s or close to 35. So with all that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get this washer fluid tank relocated. So we're in the engine bay. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off this top spout here. I'm just gonna pull this up. Pop that off. There we go. Not going to be using that anymore. I'm going to throw that to the side. And we're going to pull this hose spout out here too. Get that out of the way. And then now we're going to drop down and start draining our washer fluid. All right, so now we're going to take out a series of 10mm bolts. You've got a 10mm bolt here. You've got one here. You've got one right there. Try to save them because you will need it in a later step. We're gonna start removing the bolts here. And I've got one more right here. This one's rusted to kingdom come, so it may not even come off. Yep, so it's stripped out. All right, so I've got the 2 bolts out. This one right here is pretty much stripped out because it was rusted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drain the tank and then try to unplug everything that I can, and then I'm just going to go ahead and pop it off. All right, so I've got a bucket to the side that I'm going to drain everything in. My plan, what I want to do is I want to pop this plug out here and then let it drain into that extra bucket that I've got sitting under it. And then that way it'll free it up for me to be able to start unhooking other stuff. So I'm just unhooking that connection. Getting all that stuff out of the way. And then you can pull this connector off right here, and that'll allow it to drain out through here. But if you do that, I feel like it's just going to drain really slow, and I don't want to be waiting that long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try to pull this this part out here, and just make sure you have something sitting under it because it will shoot out. All right, so we've got it completely drained. So then there's also another, I believe it's the pump in the back. Basically another one of these in the back here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pop this tank off, and then that will give me access to get out the one that's in the back. So this is the new tank here. One of the things that's in the instructions is this hose coming up from the engine bay is shorter. So your tank is gonna be sitting up in your engine bay this way on the side. So this one is obviously going to go in this spot, and then the one on the farther side is going to go to the one on the farther spot. There we go, and it'll just drop out, and then it'll have this plastic shield cover thing on it. Just pop that off. As you can see, here is our other connector here. We're going to take this thing off, and you just kind of pry them out of there. Just like that. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these rubber grommets from off of these pumps here. And we're gonna install them onto our new tank. So I'm gonna take that one off, and then I'm also going to take this one off as well. Now we've got our new tank here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install them the same way we took them off. So this part was on the inside, so we're gonna install it this way. Just like that. Then we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Just going to slide it halfway in there. There we go. Install it just like that. And now once we get this up into the engine bay, all we have to do is just slide our pumps right into it. We need to move all of our wires here from down here up into the engine bay. Now there is these little clips, these little plastic clips that's holding these things on. All you have to do is stick your hand behind it and then squeeze the little clip out. There we go. Just squeeze those two. So it's just these little, this part here, you're just gonna squeeze the two sides together, just like that, and then slide it out. I may not need to, but I'm gonna undo this one right here as well. Just like that. So now everything's free, and we can pull it up into the engine bay. Okay, so now that we've got all of those plastic clips disconnected, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed the washer fluid lines back up through between the headlights. And you're not gonna really be able to see on camera, but I'm just basically pushing it up through right here. And you could disconnect these lines if you wanted it to be a little bit easier, but I just didn't feel like doing all that. So I'm gonna feed this last one up through here. Perfect. We've now got this connector here down at the bottom and this connector here. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video, the longer one is gonna go towards the farther side and the shorter one is gonna go towards the closer side. All right, so we've got our washer tank and we've got our bracket. So the way that this is gonna sit in here is your bracket's gonna be sitting directly up like this. And so your washer fluid tank, the bottom of it is that bottom hole is gonna sit right on that rivet screw. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this bracket installed and I'm gonna show you guys how this goes. So you're gonna wanna take your factory 10mm bolt, and this hole right down here is the hole that bolt had stripped in. I was able to take a pair of vice grips and twist it out of there. So the bracket with the hole directly in it is what's gonna go at the bottom. So I'm gonna take this factory 10mm bolt, so you're gonna need to save a couple of them, at least 2. And I'm gonna screw this in here. So now when our tank sits in here, this hole here is gonna go with that hole there. And then you're gonna take another one of your factory bolts and you're gonna screw that into there. So this once again is where you're gonna need another one of your 10mm bolts that you pulled out earlier. So I'm gonna stick this down in here. I'm going to try to connect it with that bracket and get it in that hole. Okay, so I've got this loosely installed here. So you're gonna wanna kinda leave it loose so that you can adjust this to wherever you want it to be able to screw in your self-tapping screws or your riv nuts if that's the route you decide to go. So now that I've got this loosely connected, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to now put my pumps in. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide this pump in on this side. And all you have to do is just literally slide it in there. There we go, so I got this one in. And next I'm going to put in this one with the shorter line in this side. And it's kind of a tight squeeze, but that's the point of all of this. All right, so now I've got those connected. Now I can add my connectors, but first before I do that, I'm going to tighten up that bottom bolt down in there that I installed. And then I'm going to go ahead and screw in my self-tapping screws. I'm going to tighten this up down here before I end up putting those self-tapping screws in there. And I've got it tightened up. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and plug in our connectors. Once again, the farther one goes on the farther side, the shorter one goes to the closest side right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug these in. All right, so I've got those plugged in. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put in the self-tapping screws. All right, so I've got those in there. This thing's pretty stout. It's not moving, so it's pretty sturdy. So now everything's pretty much installed. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up with some washer fluid, and then I'm gonna make sure it is not leaking. If you do happen to have any leaks, it's probably because you've either got a bad grommet or something. And I mean, worst case scenario, you can put some sealant around the edges, but you shouldn't have any problems with it leaking. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up, and then we should be finished up. All right guys, so the washer fluid relocation is complete. It was a much needed upgrade just to clean up the front of the truck, because you could see that plastic sticking out versus now what it looks like. It's totally clean. There's no plastic sticking out in there anywhere. I don't have any chance of hitting it with my 295s, and when I run up to 35s, I won't have any chance of hitting it either. Once again, huge shout out to Silver Rhino Media for sending this over to me. If you guys are looking to purchase anything from them, one of these washer fluid relocation kits, I'll leave their links down in the description for you guys to check out their Instagram and their website, so that you could pick one up from them. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys if you guys are looking to relocate your washer fluid tank. If you guys have any comments or any questions, once again, leave them down in the description as you already know, and I will catch you in the next video.